At 5 o'clock, I know there was a suggestion of a break, but we're right down to the end here. Rather than break and come back and keep you here longer, we're going to plow right through Senator Scott, and then I'll wrap it up after that. Senator Scott.
All right. Thank you, Chair Peters. Thank you each for being here. It's critical for employees and officers of the FBI and DOJ to continue to have a mechanism for reporting concerns of fraud, waste, and abuse within their respective agencies to Congress without fear of reprisal from DOJ, FBI leadership. Whistleblowers from within the DOJ, FBI have come forward with concerns about the Department of Justice alleged political bias following the FBI's raid on the former president's home in Florida last month. FBI agents have reported similar concerns to individual Senate offices as well. We all need to ensure safeguards are in place so AG Garland does not retaliate against or intimidate FBI agents and DOJ employees who come to Congress as whistleblowers. Mark Zuckerberg recently disclosed that Facebook's restriction of a story about Hunter Biden during the 2020 election was based on the FBI's, quote, misinformation warnings. Additionally, emails and internal communications obtained by the journalist Alex Berenson in his lawsuit against Twitter have shown his removal from the social media platform was a result of pressure from Biden White House officials to silence his criticism of the administration's COVID-19 policies. These incidents and several others show a clear and alarming pattern of speech suppression carried out in the direction of agencies and officials in the federal government. In other words, the federal government used private businesses to violate the First Amendment rights of our citizens. This also confirms that the federal government used officials at the FBI to interfere in the 2020 election by manipulating the normal flow of public discourse and information sharing with false warnings about foreign interference and disinformation. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, or a few questions that you just show by hands, yes or no. By show of hands, how many of you and your companies have been contacted by a federal agency, an agency official, or a member of the Biden White House with a request to remove, censor, or restrict access to a post or individual user on your platform? If you have, would you raise your hand and say yes?
Not aware of it.
So Meta, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter all said never.
Not to my knowledge, Senator.
You would know, wouldn't you?
I haven't been in conversations with the FBI, Senator.
Okay, so no conversations. Okay, by a show of hands, how many of you and your companies have felt pressure to remove, censor, or restrict access to a post or individual user on your platform based on that contact with a federal agency or official? Is the answer to no from all four of you? So all four of you say no.
Not to my knowledge, Senator.
Okay. By show of hands, how many of you and your companies have received a misinformation warning issued by the FBI? Everyone, you're saying no?
Senator, we have, I know that we have received warnings from the FBI and other experts about electoral misinformation in general and foreign interference in general.
By show of hands, how many, but the rest of you have said no.
Senator, we receive information from from every administration about things like foreign interference in election results, et cetera. But one thing's very clear. We enforce our guidelines based on our community guidelines. So we're the ones that are making decisions about the content that's removed based on the guidelines that we publish transparently, not based on what a particular administration asks us to do or not do.
So your answer is you'd have never received a misinformation warning issued by the FBI?
Senator, no, what I'm saying is that we do receive information from the FBI in terms of imminent threats, foreign actors trying to interfere with our free and fair elections here in the U.S., and we take that into account in terms of the enforcement of our policies. But those decisions about the enforcement of our policies are made solely based on our community guidelines that we publish on our website.
So, Mr. Cox, so what I said about Mark Zuckerberg disclosed the FBI's restriction of story about Hunter Biden during the 2020 election was based on the FBI's misinformation warning. Is that untrue?
Senator, I wasn't in conversations with the FBI, so I can't speak to exactly what the conversation was. What I do know is that we were in contact with a number of organizations who warned us in the time leading up to the 2020 elections to be on the lookout for foreign interference in elections, and that's an issue that we take incredibly seriously.
But you should know if Mark Zuckerberg, right? Wouldn't you know?
Sorry, Senator.
Wouldn't you know it if Mark Zuckerberg was, he said that Facebook made that decision. You would know that, right?
Senator, I do know that if you're talking about the New York Post story, I do know that consistent with our policies, we made the decision to submit that story to be reviewed by independent fact checkers. It was never removed from our service, and we never blocked anybody from sharing that story.
Well, I know people in Florida that they were kicked off by putting the story up. So, all right, last one. By a show of hands, how many of you and your companies have felt pressure to act upon an FBI misinformation warning you received, such as by removing, censoring, or restricting access to a particular user or post that is a subject to that misinformation warning? So the answer is no for all of you.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, no for all of you. Okay, so every one of you said no. All right. Mr. Cox, in 2013, DOJ shut down Silk Road, the illegal online marketplace on the dark web, which featured over 13,000 illegal drug postings. In comparison, according to the 2020 Facebook Transparency Report, Facebook found 5.9 million illegal drug sale postings on Facebook and Instagram. That's 453 times more drug posting than Silk Road. If you found almost 6 million postings, how many millions of posts are you not finding? And if that's true, I mean, if Silk Road got shut down, what in the living daylights are you guys still doing in business?
Senator, we release quarterly reports on the specific answers to your question around each category of bad content on the platform. We do not believe the sale of illegal drugs has a place on any of our platforms. We work hard to fight against that. And we publish quarterly the updates on exactly how many pieces of content we take down, as well as how much we're able to take down proactively.
Okay. All right, I've got one more question, and this has to do with what's happened with my sheriffs. Do you collect stats on the average turnaround time for responding and resolving customer complaints like hijacked accounts or products that violate your terms of service? So, Jay, Mr. Sullivan, you say yes. No one else does.
Yeah, we have a goal of meeting a service level agreement to turn those around as quickly as possible.
Senator, we do look at how quickly we respond to requests from our creators who upload content to our platform, as well as viewers, and we're constantly looking to continue to improve our processes around that sort of request handling.
So TikTok does.
We do it as well, yes.
And Meta, you do it also?
Are you asking whether we look at turnaround times?
Yep.
Yes, we do, Senator.
Okay. Do you collect stats on the average turnaround time for responding to subpoenas issued by law enforcement agencies? Is that a yes for everybody?
Yes, Senator, we have a group that works to respond to subpoenas, evaluate them, and respond 24/7.
Okay. So I wrote to all your companies and I asked, and none of you responded. I don't know if y'all realize that. Every one of you, I wrote and asked for information, and none of you responded in either of those questions. So here, let me just tell you what sheriffs are saying. So one of Florida Sheriff's Departments mentions there's no point of contact to send subpoenas. They're slow to respond. There is no sense of urgency on how they respond to even something that's even time sensitive. The perception, I can tell you from, I've talked to sheriffs all around Florida, is that time sensitive information, that it would impact a law enforcement investigation or a crime, you guys don't respond. How do you respond to that?
I work in the product organization. We wouldn't be the ones to receive that, but I can have our team get back to you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Senator, I'm happy to follow up. We do have a team that responds to those requests. We balance the needs of law enforcement as well as our user privacy when we're responding to those, as you would imagine. And we do take into account time sensitivity in terms of trying to respond to those requests. So I will ask our team to follow up with you as well.
So the questions I asked before that I sent y'all that none of you responded to, you'll respond to?
Senator, I'd be happy to have the team follow up. We take law enforcement